again, we're here and we're back, and we're gonna go into 1.2, and it's grade 9 math. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about adding and subtracting integers. Remember, integers are numbers that have negatives or positives, and it includes 0, right? So we're using the number line. So we're using this number line to add or subtract the numbers. So we only have 9 different variation of the same numbers. I was trying to find different ways to express the same number. So, and when I say the same number, I mean absolute number, because again, I said it in the first section that the absolute number is 3 and the absolute number is 2, but you can have variations such as negative or positive 3 or negative or positive 2. Now, step 1, this is something you need to know. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to place the dot at the starting point. So whatever number is at the starting point, we're going to place a dot there. Once we locate that point, then we're going to look at the sign beside the first number. So in this case, this number is 3. So we're going to place the dot at 3, right? And then we're looking at the second number, the sign, which is number 2. Look at the sign beside the first number. Is it positive or is it negative? So that's something you need to figure out. In this case, it's positive. So the rule is, if it's positive, move to the right. Naturally, you're going to move the number to the right. And basically, this is counting how many steps you're going to go. So the 2 means the amount of steps. So we start at 3, and we're going to count 2 steps. 1, 2. So the answer is 5. That's how we got that. And that's a typical easy way of adding. All right? 3 plus 2 is 5. But it gets tricky. And let's see how tricky it gets. And we're going to see different variation. We're going to see that the answers will change based on the sign. Number 2. Again, we're starting at positive 3. And we're adding. But here it says, look at the we're supposed to move to the right, right? We're supposed to move to the right. But it says, look at the second number. If it's positive, continue in the same direction. If it's negative, go the opposite direction. So we know that the second number is negative, even though we were supposed to go right because it was plus, now we have to go left. So we now have to go backwards. 1, 2. So the answer is 1. And another way to look at it is 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. That's why the answer is 1. Once you do these or memorize these steps and you practice this, it will become easy. And you don't even need the number line after. You'll understand why you'll get the answers after practicing with the number line. So it looks like 3 will be our main point, starting point for a little while until we get to the other numbers. Okay? So now, positive 3 again. But look at this. It says if it's negative, move to the left. So we're supposed to go left, right? But that's where we were supposed to go. But now it says if the second number is negative, we're going to go the opposite direction. So now we're attempting to go this way, but now we have to switch it to that way because this tells you to switch it. So now we're going to go right instead. Final answer, 5. And when there's 2 negative together, what it means, it becomes positive. So that changed to positive. And we have a way to write positive and negative. So positive is plus sign with a VE is a short for positive. So if you see that anywhere, you know that that's what it means. The same thing as positive. And if you see a sign like that with the VE beside it, that's negative. So now what we'll do, sorry about that. So now what we will do, we will go to the next one. So that's why the answer is 5. We'll now go to -3. So again, you can see that -3 is a starting point, and that is not +3, right? It's different. So it's not positive, it's negative. So when you have -3, you have to go to that starting point. So we're here. We're here. So -3, as you can see, it says if it's a sign that is negative, you move to the left, right? That's correct. But because this sign means that you do the reverse, so even though, yes, you're supposed to go left because a negative or a minus sign means you're supposed to go left, you have to go back to step 3. If the number is positive, you continue in the same direction. So we were supposed to go left, but now we can't go left anymore. We have to go the opposite direction because this number is negative. So we have to go right. So we have to go right 2 spaces. So 1, 2. So the answer is -1. And again, it's very similar to this one. When there's 2 negative, it becomes a positive. When 2 negatives are beside each other, it becomes a positive, which means it's -3 plus 2, and the answer is -1. And you can look at this as a game. I look at it as a game. You have to know the rules of the game for you to play the game. Now, we have +3 here. And it says you go right because you're adding. But we have a -2. That means we have to go to the opposite direction. So we have to go 1, 2. So now the answer is 1. I just realized I have this here too. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so next we start at +3 again. But in this case, it says we're supposed to go left. So +3, and we're going that way. So we have to go that way 2 steps. And we continue in the same direction that way because this is positive. Because remember, it says if the second number is positive, continue the same direction and the same direction that the sign is telling us to go. So you now gonna go this way and you're gonna count 2 steps. Again, the answer is 1. And if you notice, you have plus here and you have minus here. And you have plus here and you have minus here. So what it tells you is the minus sign is very powerful. Very powerful. For those persons who play games, the minus sign is most powerful. It changes everything. If there's a negative and a positive, the negative sign, it's overpowering the positive sign. Same thing here. Negative and positive, it's overpowering the positive sign. So that's why both answers are the same. So again, you have -3, -3, plus 2. So we're going to start over here. So minus means we're going to go that way, right? And because this is positive, we continue in the same direction. So it says if it's positive, you continue in the same direction. So you have to continue that way. So we're going to do 2 steps. So now we're going to go to -5. That's the answer. So let's look at this one over here. So we have -3 minus 2. And you can see there's a very similar way of expressing it, right? You see that negative and positive? Remember what I said? The negative carries the power. So you're going to see that it's going to be the same answer as this. So negative 3 plus minus 2. So again, negative 3 right here. And it says we were supposed to go right, add, right? But because the negative sign is there, it says go the opposite direction. So now we have to go this way because it's reverting us to a different direction. So now the answer is minus 5. And the last one, but certainly not least, we have negative 3 plus 2. Okay, so we start at negative 3 here. And we're going to go plus 2. So obviously, remember plus makes you go to the right. And then because it's plus, we continue in the same direction. So it's a double forwarding to the right. So we're going to go 2 steps, 1, 2. So the answer is negative 1. So if you can learn all of these, you will never ever forget how to add and subtract integers. You will never ever forget it because you'll always remember this rule, and this will carry you through every number that you will ever do. So that's how you do integer adding and subtracting. So I'm going to give you some to do on your own, and then you can decide if you want to send it to me in the chat. Let me know if you choose to complete it and to see how you're doing. Okay. So I'm going to give you some easy questions. So number 1. So I'm just going to give you maybe 8. So I'm going to put it just the way I did it. And remember, plus 4 doesn't have to be plus 4. You can write it like this. Just simple 4 plus 2. And the reason why we put it in a bracket is because it helps to differentiate the two signs outside of whether you're adding or subtracting. You got this one already, so you should be able to do that one. So we have 4 plus 2, negative 3 minus 2, plus 4 minus 2, again minus 3 plus negative 2. You got that already, but it's just practice on your own. Plus 4 minus plus 2. Plus 3 minus 2 minus 4 minus plus 2, and then minus 3 minus 2. So you can do those on your own. So I'm going to teach you some rules. That you can use as well. Some easy way to remember these integers when you're adding and subtracting them. Another way of looking at it. So the rules are if the sign is positive, and you're adding something that's positive, your answer which is 14 will always be positive. Okay, the answer will always be positive. And the opposite is true. If this was negative and you're adding something that's positive, right? So this is negative, N for negative, and P for positive. Because this is bigger, the answer will be positive. And the reason why it's positive is because the sign goes with the bigger number. So you can see here that this one is bigger than that one, right? So the answer is 9. No, sorry, 8, which is positive. Right? And if you do it on the number line, you'll realize that it works out exactly how we talked about it. If this is negative, and now the information inside here is negative, the answer will be, you probably get it right, is opposite from this one. See, this and this is two opposite. And you can notice a pattern. Both are negative. So that means the answer will be negative 14. If you do it on the number line, you'll know why. So the answer is negative. Okay? If this again, if we keep this number as positive, and then we have this number as negative, the answer will be negative. So it's negative. And the reason why is because it takes this sign, the bigger number, always the bigger number. So you look to see which number is bigger. This number is bigger. And it's basically saying you add 3, remember, on the number line, and this changes the direction, so you're going to go that way. So you count 11 steps that way, which means you're going to end up at negative 8 as your answer. And if you have negative and you're subtracting negative, remember I said that these two, when they come together, they change to positive. So it's almost like saying, it's like you're doing this one right here. So these two together cancel out the positive, the negative, and it becomes positive. So it's almost like saying negative 3 plus 11. So the answer will be a positive number, but the answer will be 8. So this is equal. And it's a positive number. So I hope you can see that. So these are some rules that will help you as well, if you can remember that. So you don't have to, once you master the number line, then you can learn this rule and it will help you. And if you're not sure, you can always use the number line. So this is rule 1. This is rule 2. This is rule 3. This is rule 4. And this is rule 5. Okay? So that should help. So let's move on to what if you have multiple numbers? Let's try this and tell me how you did. So say if you have, this is number 1. So this is plus 5 minus 7 plus 12. Number 2, minus 4 minus 2 plus 6. So I hate to do these. I'm going to show you an example. So an example on the number line when you have 3 numbers. So we're just going to stop at 4 questions and I'm going to show you how it works on the number line. So again, if we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we got negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. And the reason why you have the arrows is because it goes to infinity. So these are the questions that you need to do. And this is an example. So say we have negative 2 plus -1 minus +3. Okay? So first we start, remember we start at I think I might need some more numbers on the side. So I'll just, and then I'll put 7 here, just in case. And I'll do another one afterwards. So this would be 6, 7. Okay. So first we're going to start at -2. Remember the rule says first you locate your number. So this is where the starting point is. So we start here. So we mark the spot, right? X marks the spot. Then it says to add, we go this way to the right. So the first thing we're going to think, okay, I want to go right. But then because this is negative, it tells us the sign changes, so we have to go left instead. So now we're going to just go one space left. Okay? So we go left. So now this is our new starting point. So now we're at -3 right here. So now we're at -3. The sign says to go left, right? So it says negative, that means we're supposed to go that way. So if it tells us to go that way, we know that's the first thing we're going to do. We're thinking of going left. But then because this is 3 and it's positive, we continue in the same direction. So we continue because it's positive. So we are going to continue going left. And we have 3 steps. So 1, 2, 3. So the answer is -6. And this cancels this one. That's the reason why it's -6. So it's almost like the plus and minus here, they cancel each other out because the negative is more powerful. So it's almost like saying -2, -1, -3, right? It's equal to -6. And an easy way to look at it is almost like saying 2 plus 1 plus 3. But because it's negative for each sign, it would normally be 6, but then you just add the negative for this one. That's the way I look at it sometimes. It's the fastest way, especially if you're pressed for time. Let's try another one. Again, you can pause the video, you can do whatever you want, and then figure it out. So let's try +7 minus +15, and then we're going to go to, is that going to be too much? Let's do +10. 15 might be too much. And then we're going to go to plus. Okay, let me think. So +10, then we're going to go to minus, let's try -2, just in case. So let's see what happens. So first we locate our 7, which is here, right? So we located the 7. Now we're going to go negative here, which is left, right? Always remember negative is left. And because it's a positive sign, we continue in the same direction. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we're at negative 3. So we know we're at negative 3 right here. Okay? Now, once we're at negative 3 is our new starting point. We're looking at this sign. It says for us to go left, continue left, right? But even though this says continue left, this says change direction. That means we have to change direction. We have to go positive 2. So we're going to go right instead. So this cancels this out. So now we're going to go back that way. So we're going to go 1, 2. So now we're at negative 1. So the answer is negative 1. And that's how you do it. And this is just learning the concepts. I know people use calculators and all that stuff, but people really don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand the whole rules, right? And again, another way to look at this is cancel out each other, so it becomes a positive. So you could have just done 7 minus 10, and then you could say plus 2, and then you could find it out. So if you start at 7 minus 10, you get to here, and you plus 2, 1, 2, and that's it. Same answer, because this turns it into a plus. So now you'll be able to add or subtract any integer that you need to add or subtract. And we also actually did a combo. So not only are we adding and subtracting integers, we just did 1.3 as well, which is the previous slide that we did, which is the patterns. We notice a pattern, right? And the patterns that I was explaining, the patterns with integers, is this sort of thing. If you notice that there's a plus and minus, it becomes plus. If you notice there is a minus and a plus, the minus is the one that takes more power. Those are the patterns that you can use. And so it cancels out the plus. So the minus cancels out the plus, the minus and the minus becomes plus. So those are patterns in the integers, or adding and subtracting integers. So patterns that we can use when we subtract it. So instead of using the number line, you can just use the patterns. And another thing too is when you're dealing with bigger numbers, because this 7 is small and this 10, even though it's negative, it's a big, the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. So even though we say it's bigger, it's not really bigger, because negative 10 is actually smaller than 7, because if you go that way on the number line, as the number goes to the left, they get smaller. However, if we're looking at the absolute value, we're saying the 10 will take the sign. So basically what you're doing, you just say 7 from 10, and that will be 3. But because it's negative 10, it becomes negative 3. So that's a pattern. And then all you have to do is, wait. So you're at negative 3, and then now you're just adding 2 to that. And now you're going to be, again, negative 3 is the bigger number, but it's the absolute value. So you're subtracting the positive number from that, and now it becomes 1. So you're doing the same thing you did here with the 7, with the 10, and now you're doing the same thing with the 3 and the 2. So you're still reducing the value, but because in this case, this is bigger and 2 is smaller, so now you're going to be left with still, actually, yes, negative 1. So this will be negative 1, sorry. And then this is also negative 1. So you still carry the sign of the bigger number. So it's the same principle. So this was negative 1, this is negative 1, and this is also negative 1. So that's the answer. So I hope that this has helped to understand integers and also to understand the patterns that we can use. And in the next lesson, we're gonna talk about decimals. So we're gonna look at the decimals with adding and subtracting when it's negative and positive. Again, it's the same rule. It's just you're just using decimals. So we can look at that. And then following that, we'll talk about multiplying and dividing integers, which is very exciting. And basically we will, let me just see what else is there. Yeah, so we're going to add and subtract integers, and then we're going to go into the fractions, which is also just as exciting. And once we get through that, then I think we'll wrap up basically the chapter. And if there's more information that I can share with you, I'll do that so that you'll understand what's going on. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me in a second session, and I hope this helps to understand what you do when you're adding and subtracting integers. Thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening, and I hope you can practice those questions. And I hope if you have any questions, let me know, and I will help you with that, okay? Bye.